I've always thought what's good for the school is good for the community, and what's good for the community is good for the school. Our success isn't completely dependent on our performance. When our city is doing well and we have really high quality families moving in who love their kids, who take them to museums, who have them involved in youth sports, who take them to the library, who play board games, who read to them at night, when those families are moving into your community, then your school accountability rating will improve, your athletic performance will improve, all of those things will improve. The success, it's hard to pinpoint. Did it start within the school or did it start within the community? Or, and this is my view, is it a hand-in-hand relationship where when the community is hitting on all cylinders and the school is hitting on all cylinders, then it benefits the whole ball of wax. It's the school and the town coming together and working together. That's the recipe for success, right? It has to be that. I think divisiveness in our town and in almost every town right now is the biggest threat and the biggest challenge. Because for big things to happen, you need a big group of people working together to make those big things happen. And right now, a lot of effort seems to go into dividing us into camps with different opinions. It seems like there are a lot of people on every side of the equation that are taking advantage of the fact that we have differences so that they can kind of exploit that to gather support for whether it's their business or whether it's their political cause or whether it's whatever their personal vested interest in. I think people take advantage of our divisions to feather their own nest, and I think it's extremely harmful when your job is to serve the greater good and do something positive. You can't win in a project of making things in general better for everybody by dividing the everybody into these component parts. You can't. That's just not how you do it. A house stays together when you cement the bricks together and make it strong, right? And when you start, turning the kitchen against the living room in the house, then the house falls apart. That's what I see happening right now. If you're on city council, if you're a county commissioner, you just get constantly berated over decisions that you make. And I think one of the things that the local media could do is facilitate opportunities for people to talk those things through. In my mind, perfect world, I see the local media's role as helping to bring us together rather than drive us further apart. I think the local media has to, number one, first and foremost, build trust. That's what you have to do first. You have to build trust. And the way you build trust is you meet us where we are. You tell us about our kids. You tell us about the victories that our sports teams have had or the new play at the high school. You talk to us about what's going on in town. And you stay away from the toxic and the political and it's like Thanksgiving. You don't bring up politics or religion, and obviously that there are newsworthy things that have to be covered. But when I read the media, like when I go online and read a news source, it's crazy how much of the content is horse race politics and, well, this team's doing good and that team's doing bad. And it's silly to me because I'm not a fan of politics. I'm a fan of governance. I'm a fan of governing because I think we live in we've chosen a model of our government where the people elect representatives and the representatives represent, and then they do things that we all want them to do. That's why we voted for them, right? And the media really doesn't cover governing. The media really doesn't cover governing and accomplishments. And that's why we're really not putting men on the moon or building these giant monuments as a society that we kind of used to. We're not really doing anything other than just constantly fighting about who gets to hold these positions. And then secondly, I think once you've gained their trust, you have to engage them in local problems and solutions. We have a million sources of information right now. They're not all good. Like we get lied to a lot. We get lied to a lot. No matter what your political persuasion is, when you're getting your news off your phone, it's skewed, and so I think that's the third point I would say that you guys as media local media specifically, have to be very diligent about is being accurate and truthful, and creating a source of news that incorporates kind of all the mainstream viewpoints that are present in your local community, so that it can be kind of a place where we come together and compare notes and say, well, what are other people thinking and feeling about this issue? I think we could all do more to promote a culture of civic engagement. And honestly, I think the way you do that is by having those conversations play out. People that have a vested interest in an election, they go get registered and they do vote, right? I think we have a lot of elections where none of us is really sure, why does this election matter? Things get treated very superficially online, and I think newspapers can go deeper. Local papers, all papers, should credit their readership with more smarts than maybe we're afraid people have. So I think the temptation may be to do these real shallow dives, and I think it would be better for everyone if newspapers did deeper dives on the issues. I think where the media comes in is you're really not on either side. You're in here in the middle, and you're filtering out the bull and the lies, but you're also helping me to know, out of all this stuff that's getting said on this side and all this stuff that's getting said on this side, what's just flat not true, and then where are the real disagreements? All the drama that surrounds politics and all the politics that surrounds politics, it drives me crazy, because the really interesting stuff is the real need and the real solution. Like, I hate all the other stuff because it clouds that, and that's why I like what I do. What I do for a living is it's all about, are your kids learning math or not? And so you have to drill down, and you have to drill through that cloud of BS to get to what really matters, because we're supposed to be grown-ups looking for solutions to problems to make things better for our kids. I think there's a huge challenge for local news organizations, because the dollars that are spent only cover a certain number of employees, and so those employees, they only have a certain number of hours in the day that they can be going to stuff. And so if you look at a town, even a town our size, and we're not a big town, but we've got hospital board, school board, city council, county commissioners, just tons of board meetings, and then all the sporting events on top of that, and public library and police and fire, and there's just so much going on. So I think you have no choice but to pick and choose where you and people that work for the newspaper, where they go, and then they have to have time to write up the story too. They can't just be sitting in meetings all the time. I think you have to get as much bang for your buck as you can with your hours that you have to play with. And so I think you have to send reporters to the places where the big decisions are being made. I think the community lets you know what they're fired up about, right? I mean, I think you can tell that just by getting on social media and, scanning what local people are saying. They definitely have strong opinions about certain things. And so I think that's where you concentrate your reporting, in my opinion. I think sometimes newspaper people think in their zeal for pursuing the truth, sometimes they really can make a community look bad. They can really highlight the divisions. They can really highlight failures. And obviously, I mean, if there's something bad that happens, if there's a public official that steals money or something, I mean, those things they need to be covered. Like, people need to be held to account. People need to be, kept honest and those sorts of things. Newspapers, absolutely, that's part of your job, right? But if that's all you do is just gotcha, then all of a sudden your local newspaper has made your local town look like this really rotten place. And that's so detrimental to the big picture. In the big picture, if you've got good people trying to do good things and trying to make good decisions, as you cover all of that stuff, a newspaper has an obligation to help us put out the welcome mat to people that are looking at our town. Is Mineral Wells still miserable wells, or is Mineral Wells a great place to be? And one of the really exciting things about being here right now is just a lot of people have decided we are a great place to be, and we're going to make it even better. I think Palo Pinto Press or any local media organization, they would do well by the citizens of Mineral Wells and by the city of Mineral Wells, by the Palo Pinto County, to really aggressively promote the positive that happens here. That's where you come in, right? I mean, your readership, I don't know who those people are, but they may have no connection to us. Their kids may not go to our school. They may be grandparents who don't have kids in school. Well, we want them to know our successes as well. We want them out there saying, hey, Mineral Wells ISD is doing some good things. The city of Mineral Wells is doing some good things, because word of mouth has to start somewhere, and I think it starts with your newspaper.